What makes you eligible to work after applying for PGWP, in which cases you should not work, and where you need to be careful. This is what we're going to talk about in this video. Even though you have maintained status, then be careful, do not engage in work as it will be considered unauthorized. They can find you non-compliant and hence do enforcement actions against you. We're nearing the end of April, that is the end of winter semester, and a lot of folks are finishing their studies, and as a result, they are getting ready to apply for their post graduation work permit. Now, as folks apply for their post graduation work permit, a lot of people have this question: can you work while your application for postgraduate work permit is under process? Can you work on implied status or not? And in which cases can you not work? Or if you engage in work, you can get in big trouble. What makes you eligible to work after applying for PGWP? In which cases you should not work and where you need to be careful. This is what we're going to talk about in this video. So stay tuned until the end. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Roof. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. At our firm FHCN, we assist all prospective immigrants with their immigration to Canada. So if you are an aspirant, you need assistance, here is our contact information. Feel free to contact us and we would be happy to help you. If you have not already, please subscribe to this channel, as this is where we share amazing information about Canadian immigration. Now, before we go into the details of PGWP and implied status or authorization to work after applying for PGWP, let's quickly answer the comment of the week. For this week, I'm not going to pick any specific comment, and I'm going to talk about a range of comments that we have gotten with regards to when to expect a CEC draw and what to expect with regards to the cutoff. Now, guys, the question regarding when to expect is something that no one can answer. We really hope that we should have had a CEC draw by now, especially after the LMIA points were removed. But so far, we have not yet seen a CEC draw since a very long time. Now, when will it happen? I hope as soon as possible, but I do not have an answer to that. With regards to the approximate cutoff, I think the points will stay between 515 and 520. Again, depends on the size of the draw and how many invitations are given. So we'll find out when they do the draw, but that's my guess. Now, talking about the postgraduate work permit application and if you are authorized to work after you submit that application. Now, guys, in most cases, you may have heard from your colleagues, from your friends, that after you have applied for PGWP, you can start working right away full time without any hesitation. Well, that is correct. However, you need to be careful with regards to certain things. It's correct. IRCC gives you the opportunity, the ability to start working full time after you've applied for your postgraduate work permit. However, there are certain conditions that you must have met when applying for that application, and we're going to talk about those conditions. So guys, here on the screen, you can see the details about if you can work after you've applied for PGWP, and you can see the conditions that you need to meet. It clearly states that at the time you submitted your application, you must meet all of the following. The first one being you must have had a valid study permit. So valid study permit, which means that the day you apply for PGWP, your study permit must be valid. That means it should not be expired. So check the expiry date on your study permit. If you're applying on or before that date, you're good. But if you're applying after that expiry date, then you do not fall into this. You do not meet this condition. You won't be able to work while your application for PGWP is under process. Secondly, you have completed your program of study. That's obvious. That is only when you will apply for your PGWP. Third point is that you were allowed to work off campus as a part of your study permit. Yes, if that condition is met, in most cases that is met. And the fourth condition is you were allowed to work off campus and you did not work more than 24 hours per week. So you complied with the conditions, with the work requirements of your study permit. Now guys, with regards to the fourth condition, most of you would have complied. Even if some of you haven't complied, then you technically would not be authorized. But again, IRCC would not find out unless they do a full-scale investigation into it. However, the most important factor which most people miss is point number one. You must hold a valid study permit at the time of the application. Now, this was a question, a Q&A answered by IRCC. Let's also go into the actual law, Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulations. Here you can see the Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulation. And if we go to section 186 subsection W, the section 186 talks about when a work permit is not required for you to work, and it states that a foreign national may work in Canada without a work permit. And if we go to subsection W, it says if they were a holder of study permit who has completed the program of study and they met the requirements set out in paragraph 5, and paragraph V basically says that you have complied with the conditions of your study permit. So if you look at paragraph V, it's all about conditions of your study permit, that you are a full-time student, the program in which you are enrolled is a post-secondary vocational program, and although you're permitted to engage in full-time work during a regularly scheduled break, you do not work more than 24 hours per week during a regular academic session. So you need to meet that. And along with that, subsection W's subsection 2 is they applied for a work permit before the expiry of that study permit and decision has not been made with respect to their application, right? So it very clearly states that you had applied for your work permit before the expiry of your study permit, which is the same as having a valid study permit at the time of application of your postgraduate work permit. Now, these are some of the requirements you must meet, and if you meet all these requirements, then by all means you can work under the authorized worker status, under the implied status after applying for PGWP. Now, a lot of folks are in a situation where they are confused whether they are able to work or not. Mostly, if the study permit is expiring early because of maybe passport expiry or they were issued a shorter length, then you must extend your study permit so that you have a valid study permit when you apply for your PGWP to avail the benefit of the implied status. These days, guys, the study permit extension is taking a very long time. So if your study permit is expiring very close to when you finish your studies and you don't think there is enough time for you to get your completion letter, your transcripts to apply for PGWP and to do your English exam, please make sure you apply for your study permit extension 1 year in advance or as soon as possible, because right now the processing time is over 200 days for study permit extension and you won't be able to get it in time. And if you don't get it in time, and even if you are under the implied status because of the study permit extension, you would not meet the requirement of holding a valid study permit when applying for PGWP, and hence you won't be able to work under the implied status. As an example, say that this April 28th, your study permit is expiring. You have applied for extension already in March of 2025. However, you are still awaiting a decision on that, and you apply for PGWP on May 5th of 2025. Now, at this point, you have maintained your status because of the study permit extension file. However, you do not have a decision. You do not have a valid study permit at the moment, and hence, even if you apply PGWP on May 5th, you won't be able to start working right away. You have to wait for your PGWP to be approved. If you do engage in work, that will be considered unauthorized and you may have issues in the future. So guys, a rule of thumb is if you can apply for your PGWP while your study permit is still valid, you should try that. If the study permit is expiring soon after you finish your studies, make sure you apply for extension well in advance so you have it by the time you finish your studies. And lastly, if say your study permit is not valid and you apply for your PGWP, even though you have maintained status, then be careful. Do not engage in work as it will be considered unauthorized. And if IRCC investigates, they can find you non-compliant and hence do enforcement actions against you. That's it for this video, guys. For those folks who are graduating in April, just wanted to give you a heads up, give you the information with regards to the PGWP and work authorization after you submit your application. Guys, if you need assistance with the application, here is our contact information. You can feel free to contact us, and don't forget to call us to know about some of the amazing deals that we have, especially for students who are completing their studies right now. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you are notified about any new video that we upload. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.